What's going on, guys? So today we're going to be talking about how to track your nutrition and track your workouts. It's a very basic video, but something that you need to get down early on if you want to achieve your goals. So first thing I want you to do is download two applications. All right, I want you to download a workout tracker, and I also want you to download MyFitnessPal. Workout tracker that I use, I'm an Android guy, so I use FitNotes. If you guys have never used it and you are on the Android platform, please check out FitNotes. It's an awesome app. But let's talk about the workouts first. Okay, so why are we going to track our workouts? Again, you need to figure out what you're going to do, and you can't effectively do that if you don't know what you did. All right, so let's just use something basic. Let's say you're doing pull-ups. In 1 week, you did 5 sets of 10 reps, all right, with body weight. All right, so now the following week, what are you going to do to try to push yourself further? You have to know that you did 10 reps for 5 sets. Now what are you going to try to do? Are you going to try to do 11 reps that first set? You need to figure out how to progressively overload and make things more difficult for yourself. And if you're in the position where you are trying to build muscle, then you need to stay within that 8 to 12 rep range. All right? And in order to do that, you need to perhaps add weight. So if you're utilizing a weight that you can efficiently do for 12 reps, and when I say efficiently, I mean maybe you could get another one or maximum of 1 additional rep, so 13 reps, and then you fail, that's a good working weight for you. As you progress through your fitness journey, that weight that you failed at 12 or 13 is no longer going to cut it. You're going to need something a little bit heavier, okay? So you're working out, you have those 10 pull-ups, you struggle on that last one, you barely get it up. All right, but you did. Great. Keep working until you can do 5 sets of 12 reps. All right, at that point, now we want to add a little bit of additional weight. If you can't add additional weight, slow down your tempo. Maybe instead of going quick, like a 1-up, maybe focus on that negative. Maybe do a 3-second down. So 1, 1, 2, 3. Boom, 1, 2, 3. Just like that. Okay, so there's various ways to progressively overload and make things more difficult besides just increasing the weight or adding additional reps. But you have to get creative and you have to write down what you're doing so that way when you get in, there's a game plan, you know exactly what you're going to do, you know exactly what your targets are, and it'll be pretty much mindless, at least for that portion. All you need to do is do the work. All right, don't overcomplicate it. Find a fitness plan. If you need one, you need help, feel free to reach out to me. I would gladly help anybody out there. You can visit my website, rtbtransformations.com. I do accept clients and I do train. So feel free to reach out if you need additional help. But I want to provide you with the tools necessary to do this on your own if you don't have the money to hire somebody like myself. So you have your workout routine built out. Now you need to track it. You're writing it down, you're putting it in an app. I highly recommend you use an app, guys, because if you use an app, you can just copy the workouts week to week, and it'll save you a lot of time. You know, if you're the type of person that really needs a notebook, you know, knock yourself out. Just know that you're kind of wasting your time there, and it's just kind of silly this day and age to be doing it that way as opposed to leveraging the technology that's available. Why carry 2 things? You just do it all on your phone. But again, all personal preference, right? But what you want to do is line everything up so that way you've got all of your days built out, you have all of your workouts built in, then you go in, you perform the exercises, you log the reps in the weight that you utilized, and then each additional week you find a way to make it more difficult. Okay, increase the reps until you hit 12. If you hit 12, then it's time to bump the weight up a little bit. We want to stay between that 8 to 12 range. If you find a weight that works to 8, stick with it. Once you get to 12 with that weight, increase the weight and repeat. All right? Very basic principle here. It's called progressively overloading. All right. So you do that. Maybe you're slowing down your tempo, changing that up. You're doing something to make it a little bit more challenging, and you're logging it on a week-to-week basis. Again, utilizing an app or a notebook. But line it all up. I do have free templates. If you guys are interested in a workout template to track it through Excel, feel free to reach out. I'll be more than happy to provide that for you. Again, go to my website and shoot me an email, and we can discuss things from there. So now that you've got that taken care of, you got your workouts ironed out. All right, that's the basic stuff. But what's really important, guys and gals, is the nutrition. This should be your best friend. Take a good hard look at it. It's a food scale. All right, this should stay on your counter, and anytime you eat something, you should put your plate right on top of here and take a look at your serving size. You're not doing anything that you weren't already doing. It's not an additional step. You've already got it there. You're gonna put a plate down on your counter anyway. Instead of putting it on the counter, put it on the scale and just tap the button. All right, it's very simple to do. All right, now from there, you've got your, let's say we did chicken breast, right? You got your chicken breast. You put it on your plate, you got 6 ounces there. Great. Now how do we track it? You pull up MyFitnessPal and you add that food, and then from there you could see the content, the calories, and the whole nutritional breakdown of that particular food. All right, so now you've got that. As you go through and you build out a regiment for yourself, you're gonna have targets. You could work with somebody like myself that will do all of the work for you, put together unique meal plans that are tailored towards your goals, what you like to eat, and reverse engineer it from there. Or you need to do it yourself. Once you do it yourself, now you need to track it. Utilize the applications that are available to you. Take advantage of the technology. It'll make your life a lot easier. But get in the habit of tracking on a day-to-day basis. Now, that's not to say you have to do this forever. After a certain point in time and habitually doing this, you'll actually obtain a good understanding as to the nutritional value of certain quantities of food. So you know that a 6-ounce chicken breast is about a chicken breast this big, and then you can kind of eyeball it if you don't necessarily have a food scale available. Let's say you're traveling, for instance. You can gauge that way. You're never going to be 100% accurate, but if you do want to have the most linear path to achieving a physique that you actually like looking at when you look in the mirror, you really need to get your nutrition in check, because it is a solid 80% of the game. All right, there's two big principles here. Your body weight, I'm talking about purely weight, is dictated by calories. Your caloric input and caloric output. All right, if you put yourself into a deficit, then you're going to inevitably lose weight. All right, I'm not talking about body composition yet, strictly weight. If you eat above your maintenance calories, you will gain weight. Very basic principles here, all right? It's the laws of thermodynamics, which apply to everybody. So if somebody says I'm a hard gainer or I can't lose weight, you probably just never did it correctly because you didn't want to put the time in. Just gonna call it what it is. Or maybe you weren't educated. That's where I come in. I'm gonna help you out. I'm gonna point you in the right direction. So, you have your food, you're weighing it, you know what your metabolic needs are, and you're on the path to losing weight, or maybe gaining weight, whatever it happens to be, right? Now, the composition of your body is not only dictated by that caloric deficit and caloric surplus that you're creating through your nutrition plan, but it's also dictated by the ratios of fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. Let's do a basic example. I'm going to tell you guys how you get skinny fat. All right, skinny fat is typically created by having a surplus of fats and carbohydrates and not enough protein. All right, so when you do that, and let's say your protein's here, your carbs and fat are here. All right, what you're doing is sending the message to your body that you don't need the muscle and you should be storing fat. Just to simplify it for everybody out there, that's the message you're sending. All right, now if you reverse some of that and you have a high protein content, moderate to low carbohydrates and fat, you're sending the signal to your body to hold on to the muscle rather than metabolize it, leverage the fat stores that are already in your body. Okay, so when you're building out a meal plan, a lot of times when you go in, and there's some tips here, when you go in and you run simple equations, we're going to dive into one of those equations in a later video and I'll show you guys how to calculate it yourself. But when you do that, you're typically going to find that the carbohydrates are very high using the traditional formula for figuring out metabolic needs to establish that deficit or that surplus. All right? I really want you to think about this. As you're going through and working on your plan, you need to be very cautious as to how to make these adjustments. And we're going to get into that, how to go about making those adjustments to your meal plan. But if you are the type of person that's very sensitive to carbohydrates, and you'll know based on water retention, weight gain, and how you feel, if you are sensitive. I am very sensitive to carbohydrates and only have them every third day because that's what works for me. All right, I eat a very low carb diet, and that's not for any reason besides that's what works for my body. A lot of people out there are very different. All right. There's plenty of people that eat a high amount of carbohydrates, still maintain low body fat, and can have a great physique. I am not one of those people, and maybe you aren't either. So, with that said, track your workouts, folks. Use an app, write it down, progressively overload, make it more difficult every single week, and even more importantly, track your food, please. Track what you're eating, know what's going into your body, because if you're just winging it and you're going to the gym and you're busting your butt on a daily basis, you're wasting a lot of time and leaving a lot of room for improvement on the table if your nutrition is not in line. There's a lot of hidden things out there that you have to be leery of. Make sure you're reading the labels. All right, folks? Read the labels. They lie to you. There's a law that a lot of people aren't aware of, that if the serving size is 5 calories or less, they could label it as a 0-calorie product. A good example of this is I can't believe it's not butter spray. All right, if you look at that nutrition label, it says there's no calories. But then in the first ingredient, it says oil. Oil is fat. Fat is 9 calories per gram. That is the most calorically dense thing you can put in your body. How the hell does that not have calories? It's because of the serving size. The serving size is such a tiny infinitesimal fraction of what you're actually going to use. That's how they calculated it to get that 0-calorie calculations on the nutrition label. All right, you'll find this in a lot of things. So take a look at the ingredients, all right? Look at the ingredients. If you see sugar, any kind of oils, anything like that, and it just so happens to say it's 0 calories, they are lying to you. All right? Same thing with cooking sprays. Cooking sprays are the same thing. When you look at a bottle of Pam, the whole bottle is a bottle of oil, the most calorically dense thing you can eat. And it says there's no calories. It's ridiculous because the actual serving size is 1/3 of a second. So just a tiny little spray. All right? Usually not what you're going to end up consuming. So be very careful of that. Also, make sure you're calculating any sauces, any condiments that you have. I would try to pick up some calorie-free condiments if possible, or some very low-calorie options, and make sure you're weighing and calculating that. As far as salt intake goes, keep your salt intake steady. All right, if you eat a high-salt diet, keep it that way. If you eat a low-salt diet, keep it that way. Constant fluctuations cause various levels of water retention in the body. All right, that's what a lot of bodybuilders do, is they'll manipulate their water levels prior to a competition to dry out, so to speak. But with all that said, hopefully you guys like this video. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. You can find me at my website, rtbtransformations.com. Please comment, like, and subscribe. If you have any questions, like I said, feel free to reach out. And with that, I'm out of here, guys. Take care.